Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be tearing down a Tescom high pressure metering unit. This client called and wanted to tear down this high pressure system off of one of their automation machines, and they wanted to relocate it to another machine. So we have to do a precision tear down and eliminate all the wiring that goes to the Tescom unit, and we're going to try to preserve as much as we can because we'll be rewiring it into a new machine. So I started by looking into the control panel and seeing where the beginning of the supply power and a lot of the communication lines were. So later on in the video, I'll be heading back to this portion of the video, this section of the machine, and removing some of the wiring. So I opened this cabinet where the Tescom is on the other side of this cabinet wall. And I have to remove a lot of the supply voltage lines that are coming in. So if you look at this cabinet, it's a disaster. So I need to find what I'm looking for in this harness of wires. So there's a lot of, this is an automated equipment, so there's a lot of servo motors, and there's a lot of random power wires and low voltage wires running around in there. So I need to be very careful at what I'm cutting out. So I have to strip all the wire zip ties off and get down to the exact wires that I need to cut and remove. So I'm trying to preserve this unit as much as I can so that there's a lot less wiring that I'm gonna have to do when the time comes to reinstall. So I got a lot of this on video so I can see how I took it down in order to make the installation process a lot easier. So this client also wants to remove this automated unit and relocate it in another one of their facilities. I'm also going to be assisting with that too. Here's some of the communication wires that go to the actual Tescom unit and transducer. So there's a lot of low voltage communication going on here. This unit uses a lot of milliamp signals to communicate with the machine, and it's also communicating with the Windows computer system of this machine. So it's sending signals to the Windows communication the communication board so that you can see the pressures in real time on the computer screen for their process. So I have to be really careful, and I have to be really detailed in my wiring and numbering. So I'm headed back to the communication board, as you can see right here in the video, right next to the main breaker. So again, I'm just trying to pinpoint all the wiring that I need to disassemble in order to get this unit off in one piece. So it's about 3 o'clock in the morning at this point, very early. This client wanted to get this done before they had a full ramp production because there's a lot more people on the floor. So they didn't want me to be a distraction on their floor. So this automated machine, they go for about $900,000. This is actually an older model, legacy equipment, but the newer ones go for about over $1 million. So I have to be very careful, and they have to have a lot of trust in me that I know what I'm doing to perform this kind of work for them. At this point, I had been working for this client for about a year. So just throughout my interactions with them and a lot of the troubleshooting that they call me for, installations, removals, just a lot of their electrical work they call me for. So we built a big bond and a lot of trust in my capabilities for them. And that's a good thing, and that's not something that I want to ruin. I want to keep that trust with them and not ruin it. So I always, whenever they call and they want a job and they want to schedule something, I always make sure that I do my absolute best for them. Go out of my way above and beyond. One of the models that I use is to undersell and overperform. So at this point, I'm going to remove the light stack. The box, the little junction box that I'm in right now, is the port. This is the junction box that's going through the cabinet wall. So I'll be removing that light stack box and some of the wiring that's the pass-through wiring. Yeah, so that SO cord is no longer needed. I don't really know who wired that thing in, but it's not the cleanest work. So when I go to reinstall this system, I'm gonna give them new wiring and I'm gonna make everything really clean. And this system also didn't come with a drawing. It was something that they had one of their engineers install. So there's really no blueprint to work off of, which I typically only work out of blueprints or drawings or schematics. So I know exactly what I'm taking apart. So at this point, I did advise them. I said, hey, taking this apart without any schematic or any blueprint, I'm shooting from the hip. So I don't. But they were actually really understanding, and there wasn't an issue there. So obviously, this machine, once it gets moved, they're aware that it is an older piece of equipment. They're only going to be using it for testing. It's not going to be in their full ramp production. So they kind of weren't worried about it. So I'm moving. Looks like I'm removing the other junction box that holds all the communication terminal blocks. So those terminal blocks are about 20 gauge wire, and that's for all the low voltage communication. That carries all the milliamp signals that go in and out of that Tescom unit. So the Tescom unit essentially helps their process with high pressure air. So the Tescom unit is capable of metering about 5,000 psi. But in their process, they only use 500 psi. So they're using just 10% of its capability. Also, if you pay attention to the airline that's used there, it's called swage. It's stainless steel thick wall tubing. So I nearly got a lot of it disassembled. So I'm just chipping away at it little by little.
That is free. We'll get all these guys free. Okay. Let's get these guys out of there.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it and I'm kind of studying what has to get done next, and I'm just making mental notes like, okay, this is kind of where I started, this is where I took it apart. Almost a mental step by step, since I will be reinstalling this at a later date. There we go. So we're making some headway here. I'm getting a lot of the stuff disconnected and pulled apart. I'm trying to leave it all harnessed in together so I can install it together. And once I get it installed, then I'll start combing through the wiring and revamping all the wiring one by one instead of trying to do it at all. Typically, I would remove all the wiring and just rewire based off of a drawing, but this unit has no drawing, so I gotta be very careful. And I don't want to ruin my reputation off of this this piece of equipment.
Oh, it's got the resin on it. Oh my goodness. Nothing here.
So as part of their process, these automation machines are capable of producing about 5 sets of their process in a day. One set is 3 tanks of their fuel storage process, and each tank goes for about $80,000. So these machines are capable of turning over a lot of production and a lot of income for the company. So when you think of a machine that costs $1 million, it's really not that much. It'll essentially pay for itself in a very, very short amount of time. So I got a lot of the harness off now, and I'm just laying it on the floor. So now I'm gonna go back and take down some of their lasers in another junction box. And that's pretty much it. So they have 24 volt lasers that help them to alignment for their part of their process. So this will pretty much be the last part of it. So after I get all this down, I'm gonna box it up and preserve it for them, kind of go over it with the client and say, hey, you know, and then I'm gonna start the teardown of the entire machine, take out the mains voltage and stuff like that. So I'm just putting the junction cover back on, and I'm gonna go ahead and start closing up the unit, closing everything up, seal the doors again, and get it ready for teardown so we can ship it out. Yep, so I'm labeling it. Trying to label everything that I can to keep it as nice and neat as possible. There it is, the unit's on the floor. Pretty easy teardown. We'll see how the installation goes. So there's some pretty large belts and a couple servo motors in that cabinet. So that pretty much wraps it up for this one. But this just gives you an insight in what you'll be dealing with if anyone was to move into the industrial field. Now, a lot of guys do a lot of residential and commercial, which is good work. But I prefer industrial, heavy automation, manufacturing equipment. Working in this field, you never really have a problem with a client signing a check. Like, they have no problem paying because they have no problem paying for good work. And if you did do bad work, they just won't call you back. They have a lot riding on your performance and your knowledge. So that's kind of what they pay you for. But the upside to that is you have to perform. The upside to that is they will keep you around forever, and they will always call you, and they will keep you very busy. So I take it as an honor to be able to work on this type of equipment for a lot of clients. So I hope everybody liked this video, and I hope you get kind of a view into the industrial world, and a lot more of my videos are going to come through. It's mainly industrial. A lot of stuff that involves industrial, high voltage. It's very dangerous, but if you're careful, you have nothing to worry about. If you're safe, you have nothing to worry about. I always fall back on my training, and I stay as safe as possible. I never take any chances, never take any risks. There's a lot riding on me showing up to work every single day. So I appreciate you guys watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Stick around. I appreciate it. Thank you.